everybody, and welcome to My Hero Fandom. We finally have today with us our second host of the show, and he's actually going to go ahead and start the show off for us today. So, Billy, you can go ahead and take over.
What's going on, everybody? Good to be here. Okay, first topic, I'm sure it's on everyone's mind. What's going to happen to Allmight? There's been a lot of controversy. People don't know if he's going to, make it through the third season or not. I, for one, think he's going to. Animes, they have a big tendency to play out these things really, really slowly. They don't like to kill off main characters too fast. They like to build up a lot of clout and a lot of hype. So whenever it does happen, it's meaningful. But if you want my honest opinion, I don't think he's going to die at all. I think he's going to go open up his own coffee shop. And he's going to start working. He's going to quit the superhero stuff and serve up some almighty coffee.
Okay, so you're thinking he's gonna have a hiatus. He's gonna go on a hiatus, you think?
Yes.
Well, that was pretty interesting what you brought up about how you think he's going to live, and my thoughts on that is that we saw earlier this season when Deku was finally learning a little bit more about All Might is when he showed him his chest and he saw where he had been shot, and he said his organs were basically destroyed. He could only hold one for all for only an hour at this point. He can only usually do it about 3 times a day. Well, my biggest thing on this is that I don't think that they're going to get rid of him so soon. Just like in any other anime you can think of, there's always that one hero. Like, one thing I like to reference a lot is Dragon Ball, hands down. I mean, you have Goku, who is the star of the show, that if you don't have him, you don't have Dragon Ball. I mean, even when he was dead, he was still relevant. He was still being shown with King Kai.
Right.
And
running on Snake Way for 30 episodes.
Yeah. yeah, that for sure. And I think that that's what they're going to go with the role with All Might is. And I kind of, this is just my thoughts, that whenever they were in the final exams, when Deku, I forget the guy he was fighting, when Deku, when he was in his first fight, he said was ghosts. And he thought that they were all the previous holders for One for All. And this is going to be kind of a stretch right here, but I had been thinking about this for a while. Now, I don't know Star Wars too much, but I honestly think this is a route they would go when All Might does die. I mean, they've already said that he's going to die. I mean, they've given that away at the ending of Season 2.
Oh, man, and, coffee shop.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's going to happen is that when you, in Star Wars, and correct me if I'm wrong, that when, I believe it was Yoda, when he died, later on in the, I don't know if it was that episode or another episode, they had shown Yoda's ghost, that he was talking to Luke Skywalker, and he was helping him through his ways, and I think that's the route they're going to try to go with this, is kind of have All Might is like the wings for Deku. He's going to be that shoulder over Deku, helping him learn One for All, and once he comes to fight All for One.
So that's actually pretty interesting. That actually makes a lot of sense because, you'd think once he passes on, his spirit is going to be embodied with the power of, All for One. And, Deku could take that in so many ways, fighting future villains that are really powerful. There's always going to be that moment where, oh, can he do it? Can he do it? Oh, he's going to die. Things look grim. But, in most animes, they overcome it. And I think you're right on that's probably going to be the main driving factor on how Deku overcomes these future conflicts.
Yeah, and I think that the very last episode, I'm kind of glad that they had kind of left us on a little bit of a cliffhanger. If you recall, at the very last episode when they were in the mall, and I can't remember the character's name for the life of me, the one who has he's got many hands all over his face, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
I love him, though. Yeah, he can deteriorate whenever he puts all 5 fingers on his hands. That's just a side note. But I think that the battle between him and Deku is going to be awesome. That I think that what they're doing is they're building up right now. And a lot of people say that last episode of Season 2 was kind of like the climax of the whole series of so far. And honestly, when I'm meaning battles, whenever they let all the Nemus, the Nemus or whatever they're called, Numas. Sorry, the Numas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, the Numas. When they had let all the lookalikes out into the city, a lot of people would say that's the climax of the series so far, and that's when Todoroki's dad, I can't remember his name. Endeavor, yes, Endeavor. Whenever Endeavor had taken them out, but I honestly don't think that was the climax. In my opinion, in my eyes, the climax is whenever he had met Deku in the mall and threatened to kill him, and he had to have a little chat with Deku. I think that was my climax right there. I think that easily that the series is getting ready to unfold something huge for the first couple episodes of season 3.
I agree with that. Now, I don't know if the big fight is going to be the guy with the hands or not. It's a toss-up. I would like it to be, but you know, there's the ominous voices that he talks to and everything, you know, like, you know, and all you see is them basically staring in front of a monitor. And I really hope they don't just, you know, pass that fight off as something small and Deku just whoops his ass. I would really like it to be a drawn-out fight. Make it a few episodes, you know, easily. 2 or 3.
Easily.
And, you know, make something meaningful. Show off some new powers that I'll just call him Hands Dude has. And something other than just the deterioration, because you know he's got to have something up his sleeve.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is that after this, let's get back to All Might real quick. We went off a little bit on a tangent, but that's okay. One thing I was going to add earlier too was that Deku just got his quirk. He got the all for one from All Might. It had been passed down, and you know, I honestly think that there's something special about this kid. I think that what's going to happen is that he is going to get another quirk. I honestly feel like he'll be the second one with the quirk. And you kind of get that a little bit with Todoroki with his half ice and half fire.
Right.
And I really think that Deku is going to be the next one to get that. Because, the one for all is awesome and all. But if he were to get any bit of other quirk, I think that he'd be completely unstoppable.
Right.
For sure.
Something that could, you know, like take away from his injuries and stuff like that. You know, like almost like a
self-healing power.
Yeah, self-healing power, or like a shock absorption type of quirk.
Easily.
I mean, that would be really helpful, because then you wouldn't have to go through recuperation so much.
Yeah. Now, going back to the All Might situation, I really do think that he will eventually die. But I am really excited to see what the series is going to have for us in season 3, just only because I want to see if they're going to go like the Star Wars route, like I said, or if they're going to go like what you said and keep him around but have him kind of go on a hiatus. I mean, I could see that happening in a way, because in Dragon Ball GT, that was kind of a way that had happened when Goku had left on the Dragon Balls. They kind of left that on a hiatus. And there was nothing else after that. So, I don't know. I mean, we might not have All Might for maybe a season, or we might have him midway through the season. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see on what happens with him. I mean, he's the face of the show right now. Until Deku can control that. Until Deku can control his power, he's the face of the show. And he's honestly like a father figure in a way towards Deku.
Right. Yeah, and if anything, like when the time does come to say goodbye to this beloved character, realistically I see it maybe happening towards the end of season 4. But also you got to think, how much lower can All Might go, because you know he's down to an hour, and how long is it going to be before he's down to 5 minutes? Just like he had 1 minute left with I can't remember the character's name. Numa, and you know, the fight obviously took place for longer than a minute, but realistically in the show it was 1 minute long.
Yeah.
How crazy are those fights going to be? You know, how much is he going to have to unleash, or can he even unleash the amount of power that he's put forth so far into the show? I want to know how they're going to do this. I think one thing we can all agree on is that the demise of All Might, though it might be slow, it's going to make for some great fucking episodes.
And, you know, let me touch on that. This is kind of my thoughts on that. With when All Might dies, how I said that's like Deku's father figure in a way in the show, it kind of reminds me of back in Dragon Ball, when in the future, when it was kind of a Trunks Gohan situation where that was his teacher. That's somebody he looked up to all that time. And when he died, that's when Trunks finally hit Super Saiyan. I think what will happen is when All Might dies, that's going to unlock the power within Deku, and he's going to be able to control One for All a lot more. He's going to have more focus onto it, and he's going to make that his own power, like All Might wants him to.
Right. I want to know if it's going to, because, with every user, the move changes and gets more powerful. I want to know if that happens once the person passes on. Is there going to be a surge of power once he dies? And something that Deku notices instantly. I mean, it may not happen that way because, they have to script these things out. But, I mean, that would be pretty cool. Just like in the middle of a fight or something, or let's say All Might dies in the middle of a fight. He goes out in one last glorious fight, and but he doesn't take the villain out. It's all up to Deku. And can he do it? I'm sure he's going to. I mean, they got to have a show. But I want them to make this something so crazy, because they've built it up so much. From first episode that All Might's in, or when you even see him in the video, and he has all of the survivors of that one battle on his back and everything, and he says don't worry, I'm here and everything, with that big smile. I want them to take all of that into account. And just make it a beautiful, beautiful episode. Just like you said, whenever Gohan dies and everything. I teared up at that episode.
Yeah, it was a tearjerker for everybody. Nobody had seen that coming.
Yeah, I want to have that feeling when I'm watching this.
Yeah, for sure.
So far, the series has got me on that, and enough to the point where I'm postulating all these ideas, and I don't know how it's gonna go.
No, and I think that we'll be able to get more of a gist whenever we do get some spoilers for upcoming episodes that will be coming up. And we'll be covering those for sure whenever we do get the spoilers, or if we get anything from Shonen Jump. It'll be interesting to be able to discuss and kind of go over our thoughts and maybe give a couple more theories that would maybe make more sense once these come out. But right now, it's really just up in the air. I mean, we have no idea. But we're both in agreement. Or kind of that we think that All Might is definitely going to go a little bit off on a hiatus for sure.
Right. I mean, he has to, because his power is dwindling already. It's he can only use his actual superpowers for an hour. He can only look like, the great savior for so long, and that's going to keep going lower and lower and lower the more he exerts himself. And so he's going to have to be out of most of these fights.
Yeah.
He's going to have to be away in recuperation. It's going to have to be left up to the other characters. And
honestly, when you had mentioned that, I think what they're going to try to do is try to make Deku, I almost said Goku, Deku the face of the show. And the reason why I say this is I think that what they're going to do is slowly put him in to where he's going to be the star of the show. They're going to slowly decrease screen time for All Might and for the people in the show. They're going to realize once he graduates and becomes a hero that they're going to realize that, Deku's the next big thing. He's going to be the next big hero for us all. He's going to be the number one hero. And I think that that's what they're going to eventually do, try to fade out All Might just a little bit. Kind of like how, we really didn't get to see this, but All Might's teacher, I'm sure it was the same way. He was better than All Might. And then now All Might's the number one. And then I think it's just going to go from there on and out. That Deku will be the number one, and they're going to fade out All Might for sure.
Yeah, as the power passes on, it does get more powerful. I just want to know how much more powerful, because All Might is a beast.
Yes.
And I think that once his power is embodied into One for All, I think it's going to really transform the power. Because you see right now, whenever Deku uses the power, he has that red glow and everything. I want to know if the visuals are going to change.
Yeah, and honestly, it's kind of, right now, in my opinion, it's more of just a learning process for him, because he's only at 5% right now, and he hasn't learned any more of that. And 5% we saw is doing incredible amounts of damage. I mean,
wreaking havoc.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that he had been hurt.
Blew up the stage in the tournament.
Yeah,
with Todoroki.
yeah. Whenever he fought against Todoroki, but I mean, I know he had gotten hurt there, but through the tournament, as he was using that power, it wasn't hurting him. I mean, at the very ending, he kind of went all out, so he did hurt himself. But I don't know. I'm excited to see where his power is going to bring him in the ending of this. But that right there is probably where it's a good time to stop. So we will go ahead and try to get another video out for you guys this week. We'll go ahead and get probably put it in the comment section below on what we're going to cover next week. So until then, thank you guys for watching.